And we are live. Hello, everybody. We're going to get started on this webinar in a couple of minutes. We'll just wait for some folks to arrive and see how things are going. But in the meantime, just a little bit about myself. I'm Dom, and I'm a coach for software developers and software engineers and all the things that is not writing the code. So a lot of folks come to me and ask, hey, I want to build an app. I know how to do that. I know how to deploy it. But what I don't have is an idea for an app. What I don't have is a validation if my idea is even going to be used by people. And I don't know how to get my first 1,000 users. And all of these things I bring to the table to help people with their marketing and their design and their product and everything other than the code. So this is what comes to this webinar, which is from localhost to launch. And what I'll be doing is talking about some concepts around your launch and how it should be a campaign and how it should be a strategy, but also some of the pitfalls and some tips for you to go out and say, well, these are things that I can actively do to increase the chances of my app being successful. Okay, let's get started. Let's just swap over to the presentation. There we go. Rightio. From localhost to launch, releasing a successful app is more than just getting the code done, getting your QA done, pushing it to your repo, deploying it to your server, and crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. And that's the point. Your app is ready. Well, now what? Some of the most common places to go is build in public, build and they will come. You know, people will go in and they'll create a social media account and start posting about how great their app is. They'll go into Product Hunt and they'll say, hey, look at my great thing. And they'll probably go into Reddit and do a load of posts and trying to get some attention that way. But what happens? 0 users. All these things don't work. And this post is from Reddit, from somebody who said this exact thing. They did 3 products, they launched them, all of them just completely failed. And what I want to bring attention to really is this middle paragraph. I followed the playbook, picked a real problem, built MVPs, launched on Product Hunt, Reddit, Twitter, and asked for feedback. Tried to start conversations, and every time, after launch, crickets. Silence, nothing. That's the reality, and the reason that this person got into this situation is because it's all tactics and no strategy. And when I say strategy, what I mostly mean is go-to-market strategy. Now, I've been a startup consultant for a period of time, and I have very much seen people being successful and people being not so successful. And the dividing line is clear to me, very clear. The people who were successful had their go-to-market strategy buttoned up. They knew exactly how they were going to go to market. They had made their plans and decided which direction to go into, and they succeeded in that space. That's what they did. Now, where this leads to is, what is go-to-market strategy? We could say it defines target audience, establishes a clear value proposition, outlines blah, 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 blah. This is boring. I wrote this slide and I was like, this is boring me just looking at it. So let me explain go-to-market in a different way. You own an ice cream van and you have 2 choices. You could drive that ice cream van out to the middle of an industrial estate where you can drive that ice cream van to the middle of an industrial estate where it's rainy, it's cold, it's the middle of winter, nobody's really there. Or your other option is to drive to a park on a hot summer's day filled with people sunbathing. Which one do you choose? Well, it's obvious, it's the second one, right? And the answer of why is simply because you'll sell loads of ice creams. But let's deconstruct that answer a little bit. There are many people who have put themselves into a state which is they are hot and they need to be refreshed with something cold. your product directly serves that need, and there are lots of people there in order to sell to. When you drive the ice cream van to the park, you are going to the market. And this is what it is. To really boil it down, it comes down to this. A go-to-market strategy is simply when you sell a product or a service and you bring that into the market, your success is probabilistic. So how do you stack the odds in your favor so that you can win in that market? Well, I could sit here and go through the whole of product and its philosophies and its concepts and marketing and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to get that done in 20 minutes. But what I can do is give you 5 go-to-market campaign tips. Okay, I'm going to have a little sip. Right, let's go. Go-to-market campaign tip number 1, building open. Now, I want to be clear on this one because building open is a little bit deceptive online and can lead to be a little bit toxic. There are folks absolutely online saying, hey, we're doing building open, and they find a ton of success. But much as the Reddit post that I kind of referred to earlier, there are people who have done it and it's just completely not worked at all. Now, when you go to an account and you look at somebody who has successfully done building open, scroll back just a little bit and you will find that the content that they posted was completely different. You see, what they had done was they fostered a community and built an audience first through value that they deliver in their content, valuetainment. And then once they got there, all they had to do was pivot that value to an app. Right? That's it. Pivot the value to an app. Now, a great example of this, there was a woman I saw on TikTok and she was doing building open with a travel app, a travel planner app. And I scrolled back a little bit further and she spent a year building an audience on content that was all travel tips. Go to Paris and try these bakeries. Go to Italy, try this wine. She had fostered that audience and delivered value through content. All she did was pivot that value and now she has a vibe coded app. So building public works really well for her because she already had the people having. Building public works for her because the eyes of her ideal customer profile is directly on her. So if you're going to take this on as a strategy, you need to build the audience first. This is a thing that's going to take a year to put together realistically. And in the beginning, make sure the goals are to foster an audience of ideal users. That's the entire play. If you try and do this quickly, you go in completely cold, i.e. you have no content, and then you start posting content about your product, then it's just going to be you screaming into the void because nobody really cares and it becomes just a broadcast of your changelog. So that's number 1. Go-to-market campaign tip 2. Docs as content. Now, this is a really effective one if you're in a very specific space. This is where your target user is in a very esoteric subject. So, for example, they're into electronic music or they're visual artists, something people can nerd out about. Now, creating documentation for them is a very effective way of building trust and building your brand. This is the idea, is that if you become a thought leader in a very nerdy space, then the people who are nerdy about that subject are not going to be so skeptical about the products that you're trying to sell them. They're going to be like, oh, this group are just like us. They're me. That's who they are. I had this with a client who was building a video streaming app for a very niche sport. And one thing that sport didn't really have was a way of ranking players in a way that was standard or was able to communicate the was able to communicate how good each player is compared to one another. So they wrote a white paper basically saying, this is our ranking system on our product. Just so you know, everyone can use it. That's fine. But because a load of people saw that this was them broadcasting, hey, we're nerds just like you, suddenly they saw their user acquisition go up because they were like, oh, okay, this isn't just some faceless corporate person trying to sell me something. This is a person who actually genuinely is into the same things I'm into. And that tells a really compelling story. This is also very powerful if you build a knowledge base that is an absolute go-to knowledge base for a particular industry or particular subject. For example, look at Anthropic. They are the ones who defined the model context protocol. And they defined it. They said this is how it's going to work. They wrote the white paper. And now they are very much associated with the space of AI because of it. It's those things that really sell people over onto their side to say, hey, we're all together. It's the version of saying, hey, it's built by X for X. That's what you're trying to get to. Go-to-market campaign tips. Go-to-market campaign tip number 3. Ecosystem of products. Now, there is a concept I need to get through first of all. Now, all products solve a problem. When we talk about digital products, though, this is a case of you solve that problem over the internet and it's consumed on a device. Now, when we use that definition, that can count for a lot of things. A YouTube video is a product. A podcast is a product. An ebook is a product. And the idea is that you don't just want to go out to people and just convert as many people as possible. Rather, you want to bring people into your ecosystem. That is, you solve a whole host of problems for this target audience and your target user through different means of digital products. As they are in your ecosystem, then when you have one product that is monetized, it's a lot easier to bring them along when they're in a space of consuming your other products, that being maybe a YouTube video, So what you want to do is go out and build a whole toolkit of branded content or products. So what you want to do is have a whole list of branded products. That might be a web tool, could be a spreadsheet template, an ebook, a Notion template. These things communicate to people, hey, I'm here to solve these specific type of problems. So when you come with an app that you're trying to sell, then they're like, oh, okay, well, I get that they're the right person to do this. Online courses and workshops, also very, very useful. I worked with a client who was really focused in the type of e-commerce store owner, going from around about $1,000 a month up to $10,000 a month. Now, one of the things we did was to run an entire workshop of how to go from 0 to 1,000. And because we did that, we were able to take people who weren't yet engaged in this form of building a business, and we were turning them into our ideal customer profile and our target user. We were able to do those things. So creating those workshops led to creating our own ideal users. So when it comes time for them to ask the question, how do I go from $1,000 to $10,000 a month? Who are they going to go to? Well, the people who got them to 1,000 in the first place. And lastly, live events is very useful. Stuff like this, doing webinars, doing online workshops, doing online meetups. This is really powerful, again, on building brand. If you are a community app and you're actively trying to do things in a physical, if you're trying to create, for example, a community app, building the online space in other ways goes to signify, oh, this people actually care about us coming together. But simultaneously, it also helps to say, hey, I'm one of you again. And this is sort of a big theme with the whole thing with go-to-market. This is the thing with go-to-market. You really want to communicate, hey, I'm one of you. The moment people are skeptical and they think, I think this person is just a corporate person trying to get some money out of me, they'll turn off immediately. Go-to-market campaign tip number 4, early adopters. This is a campaign that works really well in the gaming space, but hasn't yet really been adopted into the SaaS space or the mobile app space. Very small pieces here and there. The advantage of the early adopter phase is that you can get a whole bunch of feedback and a whole bunch of positive user interactions before you commit to releasing very big, complicated pieces of software or releasing things that may well have issues once they're in the world. The way you want to take this on is by being direct and limited in the invite. You don't want to go out and say, hey, we're doing early adopter, anyone can come along. Target the lowest of the low hanging fruit and say, hey, this thing's only going out to 50 people. We think you are perfect for this campaign. Would you like to use our product for a period of time for free, just so we can get some feedback and hopefully we can build the product that you want? It gives you a little bit of validation, but it gives you a chance to learn. But it gives you a chance to learn what's going to work and what's not going to work. Have some kind of insider offer. So I worked with a client that did this exact thing where we did an early adopter program and we said, hey, you're going to get a discount for life, but also you're going to become a founder account, which means that you get certain perks. You want to have very clear feedback channels. With that client, people could reach me via WhatsApp. So they would send videos and voice notes and messages to say, hey, this is stuff you need to know. And this works extremely well if they're in a very shareable place. If they're going to share that content out, then that's only going to help you when it comes to release. Go-to-market campaign tip number 5. Talk to people. Now, if you watch my webinar on how to find an app idea, if you watch my webinar on how to validate an app idea, the last slide is the same as the last slide in this one. Talk to people. This is why, as a head of product and a product manager and a startup consultant, I'm always out talking to people, hearing their stories, hearing their concerns, hearing what they care about. And the reason that I do this is because, one, you can learn the problems and what do you want to solve. Helps answer that question. It also helps you realize validation. If you go out and say, hey, we're doing this thing and people are interested and you give them a wait list, then you get a bit of validation. But it also serves your go-to-market. At the end of the day, when people try to sell you things, a little thing goes off in the back of your mind. Is this person trying to scam me? Is this person trying to get one over on me? There is a huge amount of very healthy skepticism that goes on when people try to sell you things. But when you are face to face, you can see, are people genuine? Are they authentic? Are they natural in their demeanor? Because once you have those things, suddenly that conversion rate shoots up. And in person has a very high conversion rate. Now, I understand that you can't scale that. It's impossible to scale it, but you can get your first 100 users in just doing face-to-face stuff, and then you can use that 100 to get the next 100, and then use that 200 to get the next 200, and so on and so forth. And before you know it, using various referral schemes and using various golden ticket schemes, you can get to 1,000 users very effectively. And this is the bonus of talking to people, is that you can iterate very fast. So you can go to an expo where there's going to be thousands of people and you can try different pitches with lots of different people and look at the reactions. And if things work and things don't work, you can adjust your pitch as it's seen fit on what the best reactions you're getting. This really helps to get those first users. And with my clients, it's always been the first lot of 50 to 100 users is from in person beyond anything else. And those are 5 tips for you. I've put them in order here, but I've also put a time frame on all of them. Building open 6 to 12 months, Doxers content 3 to 4, ecosystem of products maybe 2 to 3. That might bump to 4 depending on complexity. Early adopters 1 to 2 months, and then talk to people as quick as you can. So this gives you a very clear roadmap of how you're going to go to market. If you are looking to ship a product in a year's time, then now today I should be doing the audience building. Once you start doing that and you start gaining some momentum with that audience, then you can start creating the documents and say, hey, here's a white paper, here's a document, here's whatever else it is, and trying to build up that sense of, oh, this person is a thought leader in the space. Once you start to get that stuff come in, then you can create the ecosystem of products, build web tools, build downloadable PDFs, build spreadsheet templates, build Notion templates. Once you get closer and closer, you can get to the early adoption stage. And now this is when you're in the process of build, where you can say, right, the app is half done. And this kind of instructs you on how you build your app and how your product roadmap looks like. You can have minimal features or maybe even just one feature and say, hey, come on board. We'll give you early access. We'll make you a founder so you'll have benefits for the rest of the time that you're with us. And then finally go out and talk to people to kind of get that first wave coming in. And that's everything. I hope you liked and found informative this webinar. You can find me on GitHub at Chuffdom. I'm here on YouTube at Chuffdom, as you know, because you're watching this. But I'm over also on Blue Sky and TikTok. And if you want to grab me on LinkedIn, then you can just search for Don Maurice and my email and website if you fancy coming along and having one-to-one coaching. Anyway, if there's any questions, then please do put them down in the comments. But for now, I'm glad you enjoyed the webinar.